Karen's obsession with asserting control had now taken a particularly aggressive turn. One morning, the HOA dispatched phony officers with the explicit intention of severing my entrance lock and inspecting the lodge. Their plan, audacious as it was, reflected Karen's assumption that appearances alone could command authority. What she did not anticipate was that I had already taken every precaution, positioning both legal documentation and trusted law enforcement allies strategically within and around the lodge. When the faux officers arrived, badges glinting and papers in hand, they approached the lodge with a confidence born of misjudgment. I was waiting calmly at the threshold, fully aware of their tactics. "This property is private," I stated evenly, "and any attempt to remove locks, seize property, or inspect the lodge without lawful cause constitutes trespass and impersonation. You have no authority here." The intruders hesitated, their bluster faltering under the weight of legal reality and controlled preparation. At that moment, the real law enforcement leader, someone I had discreetly coordinated with, revealed himself inside the lodge. His presence immediately established unquestionable authority. The faux officers froze, realizing they were outmatched both legally and tactically. Karen, arriving shortly thereafter, attempted to assert control, shouting instructions and insisting the officers proceed with the inspection. Her voice, once authoritative in her own mind, carried no weight against the reality of preparation and lawful authority. I calmly explained the situation to both Karen and the officers. The HOA's actions constituted harassment and attempted trespass, and any further escalation would result in legal consequences. I presented documentation verifying my rights to control access to the lodge and the legitimacy of all measures taken to secure it. The officers reviewed everything meticulously, while Karen's agitation grew visibly, her usual confidence replaced by frustration and disbelief. This encounter highlighted the recurring principle that had defined interactions with Karen. Predictability is a weapon. Her obsession with coercion, emergency calls, and theatrical authority created opportunities for anticipation, preparation, and lawful counteraction. Every escalation she attempted could be neutralized with foresight, strategic positioning, and proper documentation. By the end of the day, the lodge remained secure, the entrance lock intact, and Karen had been effectively restrained, not through confrontation, but through lawful authority and strategic planning. Her repeated failures, now increasingly public, reinforced the lesson that entitlement without preparation, legal knowledge, or strategic foresight is impotent. Walking along the perimeter later, I reflected on the broader significance. Karen's obsession with control had become a predictable cycle: escalation, coercion, emergency calls, and public display of authority. Each time, her tactics failed because they relied on assumption rather than law, theatrics rather than preparation, and intimidation rather than strategy. By anticipating every move, I had turned her obsession into an opportunity to reinforce boundaries and assert lawful authority. That evening, the lodge stood undisturbed, fully secured, and the HOA's overreach had been documented thoroughly. Karen's repeated attempts to assert control had not only failed, but had become a record of her own predictable interference. The neighborhood, increasingly aware of her pattern, began to recognize the futility of her attempts to manipulate authority. In that quiet moment, I understood the enduring lesson. True authority comes from preparation, foresight, and lawful action, not from coercion, performance, or assumed entitlement. Karen's obsession, relentless as it was, could no longer penetrate the defenses carefully built over time. Each escalation now served to further cement boundaries, reinforce legal protection, and demonstrate the futility of unearned authority.